a concept project that we were doing for a competition in 2015. And since we were doing that project, we got many catch eyes on our practice. Our practice is based nowadays in China, but we also have an office in Barcelona, which is my hometown. And as I was talking before, our main task is creativity. And through creativity, we are trying to give to the client all that it needs. And I think creativity is very important nowadays in India as well, since you are going to reach at the very first level of all the construction countries. So we are talking today about a container scraper. Container scraper is a high-rise building made with shipping containers. Everyone knows that shipping container is an element just only for transporting goods through the oceans, from countries to countries, from continents to continents. And everyone also knows that nowadays, especially India, is suffering of a growth population and is suffering for a lot of people is coming from the countryside to the urban centers, especially in the big metropolis like Mumbai or Delhi. And I think we should, when I say we, is the professional people, we should find a proper solution for those who still do not have a proper housing, or for those who still do not have a proper place where to stay. I think, sorry, one second, the proportion of the image is cutting the image on the top and also in the bottom. The image cannot see it completely. No, it's not. It's about the size. On the top and the bottom, make it shorter. Yes, shorter. Well, of course, this is a very controversial project because the competition we did in 2015, it was based in Dharavi, that you probably know better than me about that district of Mumbai. No side by side, it's top and bottom, top and bottom. Well, let them to have a solution on the technical issue. As I was saying, it's a social problem, and also it's a social responsibility that with our work is not only the way to create jobs for our industry, it's also how to solve problems on our society. And since now I'm living in Asia, these problems that we are suffering in Asia, we did not have before in my younger age in Europe, where I'm coming from. And since I'm in Asia, I'm starting to learn how to improve the human habitat. You are getting the image very constrained. It's not. Well, I will continue talking. In the cities nowadays, for example, the 47% of greenhouse emissions are created by buildings. Against us, many people is thinking that the majority of greenhouse emissions are created by vehicles or industries, are created by construction industry. So our social project is also taking care of that issue. No, it's up and down, bottom and top. Should be constrained bottom and top. Yes, please, thank you. And then, well, and then it's not only a construction project, it's also how to create new solutions for a better living environment. Unfortunately, the way of living of those people in Dharavi is not only existing in India, it's existing in many other countries, also including in China, where I'm living now. This is not the slide that I do have in screen. It's not working. Okay, now, this is Hong Kong in 2017. It's not the area where everyone can recognize on the TV or in the movies with the high-rise buildings. It's very similar to Dharavi. And this is Nanshan. This is in a district, Nanshan district in Shenzhen, is a city where I've been living for 4 years also. And this is Dharavi, which I think is the urban structure is pretty similar with all the problems that all of them are sharing. So our idea is coming from a very romantic vision of the 19th century, how to make skyscrapers. And in this steel structure holding some isolated townhouses, I think is very beautiful image. And thinking on that concept, we were trying to create a series of levels, series of constructed levels based on one common element. We wanted to reach one element which could be affordable, which could be long-lasting in time with few maintenance, and easy to build. So we created 2 towers. Probably someone of you would think that they are too high or too big or too everything. And this is part of what I was talking before. In India nowadays, you should open your mind and thinking bigger. You have a very good professionals, you have very good construction systems, very good people doing projects. But in my opinion, the projects are still very small compared to the amount of population that you do have already in the country. Your projects should be in a larger scale. So this is what I've been learning in China for the last 5 years, to thinking about bigger projects and larger scales. And then we create 2 towers. One is 400 meters high, another one is 200 meters high, which is giving us the opportunity to have 5,000 inhabitants inside. It's a mini city on itself. This is the site in the very deep core of Dharavi. You cannot see the pointer. And the shape of the plot was predefined by the competition. So we decide to use those elements. You know, the containers, the shipping containers, they can only be stacked each other above 9 levels. So every 9 levels, we should have a kind of platform holding on them, and then they can continue being stacked on another 9 levels. Those are virtual images which I think they are very catching eyes and very beautiful. They are not only colorful and they are not only nice images, they have a very strong concept inside. And the concept is to create spaces for living, working, and enjoying life at the same time. In many buildings, residential buildings, we only can live inside. So later on, we have a long way to go to our workplace, or we have a long way to go to our study place. But in this concept, we are willing to create public spaces as well in different heights on the platforms connecting the different levels. Another aspect of our project is to be concerned about pollution. Nowadays, the pollution in Mumbai is reaching high levels, at the same level as Delhi, as the same level as Beijing, as the same level as Shanghai. And this is a very high price that we have to pay for improve our societies. But I think there are many other ways how to reach that levels. I think we can also improve our economy in the green way, or as much as we can in the green way, because the projects, green projects, I think is totally a utopia. So we could do as better as possible. And this is a very interesting photo that I was learning many years ago from a teacher. The image on the left is not a tree. The real tree is the image on the right. So in our concept building, we are also using those containers as a big pots to create gardens in height. We have several images on the internet from other architects around the world creating those gardens or creating those forests in height, like this image on the left. And if you can see the red squares, those trees, they are following the previous image. Those trees, they are not trees because they don't have roots. So if you don't have roots, you cannot grow up. Then we are using the 3 meters high of the containers also as a big pots for planting our trees on the high level gardens. Here there are some other images showing the views of the city from our hypothetical building. And now also talking about numbers. Of course, developers are very concerned about when we talk about affordable housing in whatever country in the world, all the developers are very worried about revenue, worried about profit, worried about investment, worried about budgets. So, as we can see, the number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 are cities in China with the highest price ratio per income on housing. The number 5 is Mumbai. I've been living already in the first 3 cities. And I can tell people is having a tough time to reach a normal, let's call normal house, a normal place where to live, where to grow up their children. So in our project, for example, we can say that a standard shipping container costs $1,000 when you buy the shipping container. It's a used one, it's not brand new. We can use a used already shipping container that some companies are wasting them and storing on the harbors. And then to rebuild that shipping container and transform into a housing, it only costs $500 US dollar per square meter, which this shipping container is about 30 square meters. So it means it's 16,500 US dollar to transform a simple steel box into a new home. Talking about numbers in Mumbai, the average selling price, of course, there are many different districts, many different prices, but the average price is about 1,000 US dollar per square meter in Mumbai, which is having in consideration the amount of people living in Dharavi, which is 1 million people, at the average of around 3 people living on those 30 square meters, which I think is already pretty much more than the space that they do already have now, will give us a net profit around 4 billion US dollar. So in terms of investment, in terms of construction companies, in terms of the companies that they are worried about their profit, I think those numbers are pretty clear. If I didn't calculate wrongly, this is, let me tell, almost 2,700,000 lakh rupees of profit following our construction system. Here we are showing some of the typologies of those apartments, which they can also be attached side by side, creating 3-bedroom housing, a 2-bedroom housing, or 1 single-bedroom housing, it depending on the requests of the clients, it depending on the requests of the market. This would be another of our visualizations. Those empty spaces on high, they are what we are going to explain later. They are the public life of the building. The public life of the building is coming, this is the main floor plan. The public life of the building is developed to create public space, to create green space, to create where people can develop life. Not only where people can sleep, or not only where people can go and have rest. It's where they can develop their activities, they can do markets, they can have local school for children, they can have also little schools for adult people, and increase the literacy of this area. Also, we have a system of potable water. Yeah, another 2 images. When I was talking before about pollution in Mumbai, when I was coming from this morning from the hotel to the venue, I was a bit surprised about running with the taxi along the road on the seaside. There's one point that surprised me a lot in this image, because it's a virtual image. We can see the horizon very clearly. But in this city, we cannot see the horizon. In my opinion, the sea is one of the most valued things that we have nowadays, and is an asset value also for the city. I'm coming from Barcelona. In Barcelona, our seaside is one of the best assets that we have towards tourism, towards exterior visitors, and also for the people living in our city. So it's a pity that because pollution, we even cannot see the horizon. We are facing to the sea. This is one of the interior views on those towers, where you can see the core also made with shipping containers, put it in vertical position, and the elevators are running inside. Those platforms are connecting the vertical core with the apartments on the boundary, and creating that high space, interior space, is it where the public life is being created. Different typologies of different solutions, not only for living, not only as a residential. We could also adapt those layouts as schools, as offices, as a place for reunion. This is a scheme sketch of layers addition, where we can see from the left side to the right containers, layer plus the slope catwalk. We propose a slope catwalk in the vertical core just to let people running upside down along the building on few levels high with goods, with bicycles, with little cars, plus the structure models, plus the elevators, plus the water tanks, and the vertical gardens. And finally, we have our concept, our building concept. Some elevations on the different towers and sections. And this is what we consider is the most interesting part of the project. It's not only about using, I think my time is finished already. I think it's mostly interesting because of that. Not only because we are using shipping containers to create homes. It's because we are creating public life, we are creating public spaces in a high-rise building. Yes, thank you. And then we transform. Those pictures on the left, they are real photos of craft markets in Dharavi, and we can transform into real professional people working and creating revenue for their families in a better way, in a better environment. We can eliminate the water shortage with those tanks in high. We can improve market. We improve the market, and at the same time, we are improving food health for people. And a very important point, we are improving schools for children. We are improving how the children can see the future. When we improve the education, we are creating hope. When we are creating hope, we are not creating dangerous situations for the people that later will grow up without hope. We are also improving hospitals. The image on the top, they are pretty scary images when you go to hospital on those conditions, when you have your children in the hospital on those conditions. The image on the bottom is a normal, what we call normal hospital with health condition. And those examples are real examples. This is not, we've been working on several projects, not in such high, of course, in China, creating some housing as well with shipping containers. And here we have the result, which I think is a much better improvement than the conditions that they have right now. This is one of our mock-up rooms, real example of transforming those containers into a new housing with isolation, with facilities, with everything what a real house has inside, with a real apartment has inside. And we've been published our project in more than 30 countries in the world, in more than 20 different languages in the world. But still, we are waiting for someone is helping us to make it real. It could be in Mumbai, but it could be in whatever other metropolis in the world where we are in a such shortage situation of housing for people. Thank you.